Rules to set up a new employer-sponsored group health plan. Hi, this is Kathy Bukowski. I'm the owner of CB Health Insurance, and this is the Small Business Benefits channel. In today's video, we're going to answer the question, what are the rules? How do I set this up? Where do I start? If you're new to our channel watching for the first time, feel free to subscribe. We post a new video for small businesses about once a month. Feel free to leave a comment and give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Now on to today's video. Rules to set up a new employer-sponsored group plan. There's new companies popping up all the time, and a lot of times people go into business for themselves, right? Because they're a startup. They might be doing it on the weekend and trying to build a business, or just opening up shop and they can't afford to hire people, or they have part-time workers. And oftentimes new businesses say, I can't afford to set up a group health insurance plan. Maybe the owner doesn't need benefits. Maybe they're covered by their spouse, or they just think it's too complicated. But at some point, employers, small businesses are hiring people and they need to look at offering benefits. So it might be because we've seen this quite often, they're interviewing somebody that needs benefits, and this is a great candidate and they want to hire them. But the only way they're going to take the job is if you provide benefits. Another thing we've seen quite often is people turning 26. We have some clients that hire younger folks in their 20s, and it could be a coffee shop, it could be a bakery, it could be a retail store. And those employees are covered by their parents, or they can be to age 26. They turn 26, they're kicked off the insurance plan through their parents. So they need to have benefits. And oftentimes we have the employers come to us saying, hey, I need to set up a plan for my current employees. So let's talk about where to begin. Well, most carriers don't allow an employer to go direct. You can't go to a website and request a quote that I'm aware of currently. Maybe there was a time many, many years ago, and I've been doing this a long time, that you could get a quote online, but that is usually not the case. You do need to find a broker and find somebody that works in the small group benefits. Our office has been doing this for years, and we do work with small companies, and we have a process how to work with us, and you can find it on our website, but we'll put a link below. It's a 3 to 4 step process. Step 1, provide us the information. Give us a census of the employees you think you want to cover, and it might just be 1 or 2. Second of all, send that to us so that we can run the quotes, order the quotes. That's kind of the step that we take care of, right? And step 3 is to jump on a Zoom call with us, where we're going to go over the quotes, we're going to go over the rules and regulations, we're going to go over the deadlines and what the employer needs to do, right, to be compliant. And fourth is really just decide and implement the plan. So that's the kind of the easy part, but maybe not for some people. So let's talk about what are the rules and regulations. And they do vary by state, they do vary by carrier, and they vary by market. So, when we talk markets, there's the small group market, there's the mid market, and then there's the large group market. For this video, we're talking about small group benefits, so 2 through 50 employees. And because I'm in the state of Illinois, I'm going to talk about the state of Illinois. So in the state of Illinois, we really only have 2 carriers. We have Blue Cross Blue Shield and United Healthcare for fully insured employee benefits. Now, the rules vary slightly between the 2 carriers, what they will allow in terms of, for example, an owner only wants health insurance for himself, but maybe doesn't offer to the employees or nobody takes it. The rules are different. Blue Cross is a little bit more lenient, but let's just talk about the other rules, right? Let's assume you have employees who need insurance, right? That 26-year-old, or you're looking to hire somebody who really needs benefits and is not going to come to work for you unless you have it. There's really 2 rules. Employer have a contribution. The insurance companies require the employers to contribute. And second of all, there's a participation requirement. We need so many people, or the insurance companies require so many people to be enrolled. So how does this work? First, the employer contribution. We'll use Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. They require that the employer pay 25% of the employee only rate. They don't have to pay for spouses. They don't have to pay for dependents. Now, you can't not offer that, right? If the employee wants to add their child, they just have to pay that premium. But minimum is usually 25%. you can do a defined contribution, but it has to be equal to about 25% of the employee rate. Now, Blue Cross of Illinois, there is one exception. They do allow what they call a 0-0. If you set up a group for January 1st, they waive both the employer contribution and the participation requirements. Now, there are lots of rules around that, but any other time of the year you can't do it, and they're the only one that does it. So most of the time when we're setting up a group health plan, we need a minimum of 25% of employer contribution. Rule number 2 is participation. So even though it is guaranteed issue, it falls under Obamacare, there's certain rules, insurance companies have the right to say, hey, we need a certain percentage of this group to participate, right? And so Blue Cross Blue Shield, I'll use them as an example, they need 70% of eligible. So they do exclude from that eligibility anybody with a valid waiver. If you have coverage elsewhere, through a spouse, through an individual policy, you're on Medicare, you're on Medicaid, they count that as a valid waiver and remove that from the eligible, full-time eligible. So a full-time eligible is somebody that works 30 hours a week, they've met the requirements, and they have no insurance. They have no other option. So we need 70%. So if you have 10 employees and 7 of them have valid waivers, they are covered elsewhere, then we need 70% out of 3. And Blue Cross will allow, I've seen them allow 2 out of 3, even though it's a little bit below. But, if you have 10 people and none of them have insurance, we need 7 out of 10. So that's how that works. So participation and contribution, what are the other rules? Well, there are some other rules in general. So you can offer multiple plans. We've talked about this before, PPOs, HMOs, different price points. That's one point. Another thing is that you can start any month of the year. You do not have to wait till January 1st. In fact, that's a really busy time for insurance companies and brokers, and it's Medicare open enrollment and Obamacare open enrollment. A lot of groups renew January 1. So very busy time. But you can set it up any month of the year. Last but not least, there is no pre-existing conditions, right? We have some people that still believe this exists, that they're going to decline me, or I'm going to add somebody that has a huge cancer bill and they're going to affect the premiums. They can't do that. Small group falls under the ACA law, the Affordable Care Act, and I've talked about it in another video. They cannot exclude pre-existing. They have to take everybody, but you have windows to be eligible, right? When you first write the group, or when you lose other coverage, you have qualifying event, or on the annual open enrollment, employees can jump on. So let's summarize. How do you get started setting up an employer-sponsored group health insurance plan if you don't have one? First and foremost, find a good broker to work with. Second of all, you want to provide the information on who in your company is interested in quotes. And usually we don't even ask for people that have phenomenal coverage and they're going to waive anyways through their spouse. We just want the people who are interested in the coverage. The broker will provide the quotes. In our case, it's jump on a Zoom call. We go over all the rules and then we help you set it up. So we hope you found this video helpful. Until next time, this is Kathy Bukowski. Thanks for watching.